I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice.
Do your own research.
Consult a professional investment advisor before making any investment decisions.
This show is for entertainment only. Faites vos propres recherches.
Here we are
in another episode
of the Simple Success Podcast.
And
this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective.
And relationship satisfaction can come from a happiness perspective too. Wow, John. What?
they save, and I'm saying that at the beginning. Wow, am I impressed?
You don't sound impressed. You sound like DT.
I'll have you know that sounding impressed, sounding impressive, and sounding like DT are all one and the very same thing.
Not to mention that abundance of self-confidence you show us from time to time.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, it is when it's used right. Now, what's on your mind before we get started with relationship talk?
Well, let me start by asking you about your relationship perspective.
Oh, no, not the what do you think about relationships question again. I'm not a relationship expert or anything.
Sorry, but it's one of my favorite questions. It's so important to understand what you think about relationships, because if you don't, then you won't be able to make any changes in them.
Okay, I think that they're great. They're fun, exciting, and rewarding, but there comes a time when they need to get even better.
That's actually a really good point. I think that before we talk about how couples should discuss money matters, we should first talk about the dangers of not even having this potentially difficult conversation.
That is pretty important. Most couples discuss everything under the sun, from hopes to hobbies to health issues, but they give financial topics a wide berth.
Why does this happen?
For some couples, this is a minefield that they do not want to step in, lest they blow up their dreams for the relationship. For some, it may not seem like such a big issue.
Yet, money is the thing that sustains a relationship. Even if it's just driving to see that special someone, you have to fuel your car or take a cab. That's money.
Yeah, it is. And glossing over such an important matter as financial goals can set up a relationship for failure. For instance, you don't start running a marathon, then in the middle of the race, you start thinking about water when you're thirsty and utterly dehydrated.
What you're telling me is that I should be bold when talking to my partner about money. But won't they think I'm rude?
Maybe, but silence on issues of money should serve as a warning. If your partner is cagey about going over even routine financial matters, or gets irritated when you try to initiate such a talk, do not stay in the relationship for long.
Won't people label me a serial dater?
That would be kind of dated, DD. But so what? It's a label. Wouldn't you rather have a label than a fall into financial ruin? Of course you would. I repeat, don't stay in such a relationship, as there could be too many personal or psychological issues, and in all likelihood, you won't want to deal with them. It's not a big part of a long adult lifespan, you know.
What if my partner has different financial values from mine?
Reconcile these differences while you are still dating, or be ready for financial conflicts later on. Reconciling does not mean ditching your values.
What does it mean then?
It means having a common ground about certain financial issues. It can also mean getting to know where your partner is coming from, because in many cases, we get our financial values from our families.
I may have been brought up in a penny-pinching family, whereas my partner was brought up in a family where, as the young folks like saying, they make it rain.
Do you see how the examples you've provided can bring problems if you don't discuss them, and if you don't know how you'll reconcile them?
That would be the cause of most fights and misunderstandings.
You got that right. Fights and misunderstandings are the two biggest dangers of couples getting into a relationship without discussing money matters.
What I am seeing is that these two dangers can be avoided if I am bold enough to talk about money with my prospective partner.
In the right tone of voice, of course. Don't get into a relationship thinking that you'll change your partner's financial values once the relationship has begun. If there's anything to change or reconcile, do it before you're emotionally invested in the relationship.
The earlier the better, right?
That's right. Money has long been known to be a leading cause of stress in relationships, probably because For so many couples, it's a topic that's off limits.
What if we've only been dating for a few months and I fear that bringing up such a real topic is going to put a damper on the good time we're having?
You have to have some guts before you can talk about the elephant in the room. It won't go away, though. If anything, it will wreak havoc. And don't think that things will just work out. You have to work them out.
What if I'm insecure about my financial situation?
If you're insecure about your own financial situation, talking it over with your partner will force you to deal with the reality of a serious situation. It's part of having a real relationship, a happy relationship.
It may be that they're a godsend to help me before I turn into a financial train wreck.
Yeah, that's the way to look at it. It's not always doom and gloom. If you can help your partner, your relationship will be better for it.
Unfortunately, some people refuse a helping hand, even if they're drowning in debt. Others may think you are judging them.
That's life, DT. As the saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
I like the Dorothy Parker version better, but it's a personal responsibility.
It is. You're not just doing it for the sake of the relationship, but also for your own sake.
Are there some things that I can turn a blind eye to?
Absolutely. We all have our financial quirks. These are usually little harmless things that cannot be considered deal breakers. They may annoy you, but they are annoyances you can live with.
Then I should not be too fussy about some inconsequential things.
Correct. People are different, though. What is inconsequential to you might be a deal breaker to somebody else. Just know your limits and what you can live with and get on with the relationship.
What are the other dangers of not discussing money matters?
The other dangers are separation and heartache. If you're emotionally invested in a relationship, chances are high that you will be heartbroken when the relationship hits a brick wall. That's just real life.
Speaking of bricks, John.
Bricks? Do you mean breaks?
I mean what I mean. I have great self-confidence, more than I could ever give up in a simple...
Break number 1.
Hello, everyone. This is John with the Simple Success Podcast, financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Because we know you want to show us some serious love in return for the tremendous benefits you get from us, please subscribe to us in your favorite podcast player. You can find us on both the App Store and the Play Store because our message is for everyone. Leave a rating for us, or even better, tell a friend. Whichever you choose, thank you so much for helping us do this for you. To leave us a written message, which just might lead to more in a future podcast, go to those same written show notes to find our subreddits. There is also our Facebook group page, Twitter, and other ways which we'll tell you about from time to time. You can also find an Easter egg every so often, so listen closely. Thank you again, and keep those constructive ideas coming.
You know what?
No, what?
Now that we've heard that crucial message, we should probably start setting up this week's guest.
I have a guest? I mean, we have a guest?
No, now you're just being coy. You know who it is, and you know why she's here.
Okay, who is it then?
Well, who do you think it is?
Actually, I know her name is Marcy. She's an author and blogger.
You mean the author of Money Marcy's Guide to Financial Literacy?
That's the one, moi drug.
Did you just say drugs?
No, that's Russian for my friend, like mi amigo or mon ami.
Oh, okay. So how did you two meet? You're both busy people.
On one of those podcast guesting sites. I think it was Podmatch.
Okay, this is very interesting.
Why do you say that?
Because I was thinking about starting a blog myself.
And you thought of me because...
I didn't think of you. I was thinking about the relationships we have and how money plays into that.
Oh, got it. Well, how about we reward ourselves and our listeners with a good, solid perspective on this?
Works for me. And that would be the Marcy person?
Yes, that would be Marcy Grossman. Money Marcy. She's much better known. She's a person who provides some interesting financial perspectives on Facebook, among other places.
How do I find her?
Well, you just search Facebook for either of those names and follow. Plus, we do the links in the show notes thing, so you can look there. We'll talk more about that toward the end of my talk with her.
Welcome, Marcy. Vina, please go on with the formal welcome to our show today.
Hello, Money Marcy. Glad to have you here with us today.
Hi, John. It's me, Marcy. How you doing?
Good. How are you? You're here to give us
More information about financial literacy, correct?
Yes, that is my passion. It's all about money. The better you understand it, the better you're going to use it.
What is financial literacy?
It's understanding your money, the money decisions you have to make, the opportunities that fit with who you are and what you want to do with your money. It's owning your money and the decisions that are related to money.
What would you like to see people take away from that and do in their lives?
Be able to make better decisions to reach their goals. Money is a tool to get you from here to there. Money is not the end goal. It's a resource. It's like going into a kitchen and not knowing how to use a pot or pan. You use money because, hey, we use money and you buy a pizza with it. But can you make it so that you're going to have pizzas 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road? When you retire, you're still going to be able to afford to get pizzas. One of the first things that you can do that helps you in all areas of finances is being aware of what you're taking in, your income, and your expenses. So I often suggest the place to start is with a budget. This is what I've spent so far this year in as many different categories as makes sense for you. And being aware where you're spending the money, being aware whether you are taking in more than you're spending or if you're taking in less than you're spending so that you can make better decisions for today and for tomorrow.
What is the biggest problem with a lot of budget worksheets out there?
I think the biggest problem is people get intimidated because putting together a budget is a bit of work. I think what you do is you take a budget, and yes, you want to look at a year because it gives you the biggest idea of what's going on, but you really want to break it down into a month or into categories. So I've got budget worksheet on my website, and it says groceries, and you can estimate, hey, I'm spending $75 a week, or I'm spending $200 a month, or whatever it is. And it lets you work within what is most comfortable for you. You have to have the flexibility to figure out what works for you. Lots of things we do in life aren't fun to get us to the parts that are fun. I mean, some people like their vegetables, so eating their vegetables is the best part of the meal. And some people say, I eat my vegetables to earn my dessert. So, I mean, it's a way of looking at it like that. Budget might be the running laps you do to play another sport, or it might be the calisthenics you do before you play your sport. It's something you have to do to get you where you want to go.
What can a person hone in on and say, this is what I'm going to do for the next couple of days?
So if you are keeping your checkbook, your credit cards, your however it is you spend money, and you are using a software program so that you can have all your data at the end of the year, you're already gathering the information you need for budgeting. So you take your QuickBook or your Mints or whatever else and run a report that will tell you and break down the categories you're already using, and you can use a time frame for it. You can say, hey, run this for me for a month, or let's see what a quarter looks like, or let's see whatever. And if you keep your data more open-ended, so it's not here's your calendar year and then here's your next calendar year as separate files, then you can run it for any time period you want. You can run it from July to June, you can run it from April to March. I like things calendar quarter, but that's just me, and there's no right or wrong way. You can run it for a month and see, okay, this is what I spent in January last year. So you're already doing all the legwork for your budgeting if you're using one of those software packages.
Marcy, what would you like to add to that for people to get a hold of you?
Well, certainly come by my website, moneymarcy.com. I have to make sure you spell Marcy correctly, or I don't know where you'll go, and that's M-A-R-C-I.
And
not I-E. Not I-E, not E-Y, not Y, okay. Just I. I am Marcy.
Got it.
If you go to my website, it's probably the easiest thing to find. It has links to my Twitter and my TikTok and my Instagram. I have a Facebook page. I have a LinkedIn, though I don't post everything necessarily there. I blog about different financial topics as they're going on right now because of the time of year. For me, I'm talking about FAFSA forms. And of course, you can always go pick up my book. It's at Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and probably most of the places you would go online have some access to it. Money Marcy's Guide to Financial Literacy. It's the way I would have talked to my kids as young adults learning about personal finance.
Well, thank you very much for your time today.
Great. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Marcy. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, John. You too. Bye-bye.
So, DT, what caught you most from what Marcy taught us today? Literacy! Pray tell, may you elaborate?
Yeah, dude. Financial literacy.
Which means what? I mean, we see that phrase all the time.
You don't know?
Yes, I do. I've taught it. I'm asking for a friend.
Not falling for that one. It doesn't matter if you know or not. The point is that it's important, just like body image or body posture.
Which part?
All of it.
Todos los días?
To leisure. Make smart choices when it comes to your finances. Ask open-ended questions.
Okay, when you hear someone talking about financial literacy, what are they usually talking about?
Making sure you understand the basics, like the difference between interest and principal, or even the difference between credit cards and,
But first, break number 2.
We know a lot about you already because we know ourselves. For example, we know that you know how to listen to our podcast. We also know that you probably know how to subscribe. So as soon as you're done with that, tell us your story. We have ways you can contact us. It involves a special link where you can leave us a message. We may have an email address for you as well in the future, and we'll let you know if that happens. The reason for subscribing? I thought you'd never ask. When you subscribe, you automatically download all future episodes of that podcast. It just happens in your player without you having to go search again. How cool is that? This means better rankings for the podcast, more attention from advertisers, and more money. And this means more and better stuff for you. So your motivation is simple and easy. Subscribe today, whatever app and from whatever place you like. And don't just try to subscribe. There is no try. There is only do. We're changing the way we look at things, and remember, that's good. Eso es buenísimo. Also remember, this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Coaching happiness. Our call to action is right in the show notes. Find it, and you win too.
There are people who are of the opinion that money and love are strange bedfellows, but you've burst that myth. I want to know how I can tie it all to investing.
I'll let you go first, assuming, of course, that you have our simple solution.
I do. Of course I do. Discussing money matters will help couples have a common goal to get on the road to investing. I was about to say that you can't invest if you are mute, but I don't mean that literally, and I sure don't want to offend anyone, even by accident.
Okay, good. Now, whichever way you flip it, money forms the basis of investing. If you cannot discuss money matters, then how will you invest?
And discussing doesn't necessarily mean that we agree all the time. I disagree with my partner many times.
That's the nature of such discussions. You agree to disagree. That's why you should not discuss money emotionally or allow it to be the master.
My experience with discussing money matters with my partner is that I have learned some investment tips and matters that I did not know about. I have found out that I should be willing to let my partner share their ideas.
I totally agree with that. One partner might hog all the attention as far as money matters are concerned, and sometimes it's this partner's way or the highway. That should never be in anyone's body language.
That type of dynamic robs the relationship of the financial experience, skills, and ideas of one partner.
It might, and some partners are dictators when it comes to finances, and we all know that dictatorship often causes backwardness and poverty. In a relationship, it could be a poverty of ideas or real poverty, and helping to cure fear of poverty is what we're all about here.
I always encourage my spouse to speak up. We never call each other's investment ideas stupid or refer to them with disparaging names. We are respectful and acknowledge each other's contributions.
And that is the recipe for positive development.
What candid spaces can you share with us?
In investing, there is strength in numbers and in partnerships. Two people pooling resources and pulling in the same direction can accomplish more.
That has made me see my relationship in a new light.
Investing can be a long, lonely road if you're walking alone, but if you have a traveling companion, some burdens are lessened. Also, the bumps and knocks of investing are less painful if you have a partner.
I also think that if you are alone, you may be more susceptible to discouragement and giving up.
But if you have a partner when it's one of those days, they can take the reins when you are taking the heat.
I am now thinking that there is an important lesson here.
And that's good, because yes, there is.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome. Wait, why did I just say that? Why are you thanking me?
I like the idea of having a discussion about money. I would like to learn more about investments.
Good, let's talk about it.
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
I am looking forward to learning from you.
And I am happy to teach you.
I appreciate your willingness to share your knowledge with me.
You and I, we have a committed relationship, and there is no better teacher than experience.
I love the way you put things, usually, but I feel it's important to say we have a podcast relationship.
And I love teaching. It's my favorite leisure time activity.
I feel like I'm finally getting somewhere.
I hope so.
I am excited to learn more.
And I look forward to sharing what I know. Haven't we done this before?
Yeah, and I see what you're doing there.
What's that?
You're repeating, like we always talk about.
And sometimes that's just saying something important over and over again, you know. Like investing is a learning opportunity. When two people are in a relationship, they can learn new things from each other.
And barriers are also broken.
Yeah, barriers are also broken.
Repeater.
Thank you, my liege. Investing is as much about speaking some issues as it is about letting some issues slide. You have to know when a fight is worth it and when it's not.
De nada. Can you please explain what you mean?
In the first section, we talked about how speaking about finances is vital in a relationship, but we also said that there are little annoyances that we should learn to live with.
Oh, right. Now I can see where you're coming from.
Excellent. That is really good. In investing, you will not always get what you want. Plus, you will meet people with all manner of quirks. You just have to learn to live with such annoyances and concentrate on the big picture for you.
And practice.
Right. And practice. And be persistent.
And repeat.
Which is how you've all gotten good.
Gracias por escuchar.
Salut. À la prochaine.
This podcast and our other podcast are productions of Little Red Hen Industries. The supporting cast who helps me bake the bread includes
Techno King, John C. Brandy, Alter Ego, Doubting Thomas, Fact Checker, A Small Brown Beef Animal, Seriously, Tiny. Facts are important but are also easy. Social Manager, Abraham Lincoln, Media Expert, Augustus Caesar. Psychologist, William James. Sound Designer, Adobe's Creative Suite. Spanish Consultant, Cameron J.K. Brandy. French Consultant, Leah, the Do-Your-Own Research Lady. Videographer, Eto Monkoshki. Audio Props, Les Paul. Inspiration, many podcasts and other sources and of course Napoleon Hill.
We also have websites, and you can subscribe to both podcasts. You can even send us a video, audio, or text message, but of course you'll have to head to the show notes, either on your phone or on the web, to get the links and stuff. And all those clickable links are in the show notes.
And before we forget, the artificial intelligence or AI voices that you hear in our work are offered up by Google, Amazon Polly, and OpenAI like we say in the show notes. They don't sponsor us yet, but we love what they do and we just love what AI can do when lovingly crafted.
Finally, you can find us on Podmatch.com, Matchmaker.fm, Podbooker and Podcast Guests where we consider guests and consider guesting on other people's shows.
And really finally, the music for our pods comes from Cute by Ben Sound and from Piano Background by Nick Simon Adams, as well as from AI MuseNet. The sound effect credits go to Jackson Academy Ashmore, Canusi G, Dr. Jekyll, Joe Payne, Everything Sounds, MK Play More Stories, ERH, Sand Emotions, Big Pickle 51, and Just Kidding. Yes, that's his or her name. All on freesound.org. Also, languages are the bomb.
Paul.